Most people think that doing well with money is about being smart. We're taught that it's a math-based field, a hard science, where if you just input the right data into the right formula, you get the right result. But the reality of money is much messier. In his book, The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel argues that financial success isn't a hard skill at all. It's a soft skill. It's not about what you know, it's about how you behave. And behavior is notoriously difficult to teach, even to really smart people. Think about it this way. You can be a genius and have a PhD in physics, but if you lose your cool every time the stock market dips 5%, your intelligence won't save your portfolio. On the other hand, a regular person with no formal education can build massive wealth simply by mastering a few behavioral traits. Today, we're breaking down the core lessons of this modern classic to help you change the way you think about wealth, greed, and happiness. Chapter 1. No one is crazy. The first thing you have to understand is that no one is crazy. We all come from different generations, were raised by different parents, and earned different incomes. We saw different world economies and different job markets. Because of this, we all have a unique view of how money works. If you grew up during the Great Depression, you view the risk of the stock market very differently from someone who grew up during the tech boom of the 1990s. Your personal experience with money makes up maybe 0.0000001% of what's happened in the world, but it makes up about 80% of how you think the world works. When you see someone making a decision that looks insane to you, like spending half their paycheck on lottery tickets or keeping all their savings in a mattress, remember that they aren't crazy. They are just playing a different game based on a different history. The lesson here is humility. Don't judge others' financial choices too harshly and realize that your own logical view of the world is deeply biased by your own experiences. Chapter 2. Luck and Risk. Luck and risk are siblings. They are the reality that every outcome in life is guided by forces other than individual effort. We tend to focus on effort and skill because they're things we can control, but Housel argues that luck plays a much larger role than we'd like to admit. Take Bill Gates. He was incredibly smart and worked incredibly hard, but he also happened to go to Lakeside School, the only high school in the world in 1968 that had a computer. The odds of that happening were roughly 1 in a million. That was luck. On the flip side, his friend Kent Evans was just as talented and shared his passion for computers, but Kent died in a mountaineering accident before graduating. That was a risk. The point isn't that success is all luck. The point is that you should be careful who you praise and be careful who you look down upon. Nothing is as good or as bad as it seems. When things go well, realize it's not all your own brilliance. When things go poorly, realize it's not all your own stupidity. Chapter 3. Never enough. One of the hardest financial skills is getting the goalposts to stop moving. We live in a world of social comparison, and it is a battle that can never be won. There will always be someone with a bigger house, a faster car, or a more impressive job title. The danger is when your expectations rise faster than your income. If you make $100,000, but you feel like you need $200,000 to be happy, you're effectively poor. Modern capitalism is a machine designed to make you feel like you don't have enough. But enough is not a lack of ambition. Enough is the realization that an insatiable appetite for more will eventually lead you to regret. Many people risk what they have and need for what they don't have and don't need. Don't be one of them. Reputation, freedom, family, and friends are invaluable. Don't risk them for a few extra zeros in a bank account. Chapter 4. Confounding compounding. If you want to understand wealth, you have to understand Warren Buffett. But people usually look at the wrong things. They look at his stock picks or his business philosophy. The real secret to Buffett's wealth is time. Buffett began serious investing when he was 10 years old. By the time he was 30, he had a net worth of $1 million. But here's the kicker. Over 95% of his wealth was earned after his 65th birthday. If he had started at 30 and retired at 60 like a normal person, you would likely have never heard of him. The human brain is not wired to understand exponential growth. We think linearly. But in the world of money, time is the most powerful variable. You don't need to be an investing genius to build wealth. You just need to be pretty good for a very, very long time. Chapter 5. Getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. Getting wealthy requires taking risks, being optimistic, and putting yourself out there. But staying wealthy requires the exact opposite. It requires humility, frugality, and a healthy dose of paranoia. It requires the realization that what you've earned can be taken away just as quickly as it came. Housel tells the story of Jesse Livermore, one of the greatest stock traders in history. In 1929, he made a fortune shorting the market while everyone else was losing everything. He was one of the richest men in the world, but he became overconfident. He took bigger risks, ignored the margin of safety, and eventually lost every penny. The ability to survive is the most important financial trait. Survival gives you the room for error needed for compounding to work its magic. You have to be unwipe-outable. Chapter 6. Tails You Win. In the world of finance, tails drive everything. This means that a tiny number of events are responsible for the majority of outcomes. In a venture capital fund, most of the companies will fail. A few will break even, but one or two, the tails, will provide 10,000% returns and pay for all the failures. The same is true for your personal portfolio. You can be wrong half the time and still make a fortune. Most of the time, the stock market is boring or slightly down, but the returns of the last 100 years have been driven by a few dozen tail events. The lesson? Don't panic when things look average or even bad. Success is usually determined by how you handle the outliers, not by being perfect every single day. Chapter 7. Freedom. What is the ultimate goal of money? For most, it's not a Ferrari or a big house, it's control. The highest dividend money pays is the ability to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, for as long as you want. This is what Housel calls the intrinsic value of money. Having a small pile of wealth means you can take a few days off work when you're sick without worrying. A larger pile means you can wait for the right job offer, rather than taking the first one that comes along. An even larger pile means you can retire when you choose. Control over your time is the greatest predictor of happiness. If you use your money to buy stuff, you actually have less control, because you have to work harder and longer to maintain that stuff. Use your money to buy time instead. Chapter 8. The Man in the Car Paradox. When you see someone driving a luxury car, you rarely think, wow, that guy is cool. Instead, you think, if I had that car, people would think I was cool. This is the paradox. You think you want expensive things to signal to others that you are successful, but those others are busy using your possessions as a benchmark for their own desired success. No one is as impressed with your possessions as you are. If you want respect and admiration, be careful about trying to buy it with things. Humility, kindness, and empathy will gain you more respect than any horsepower ever could. Chapter 9. Wealth is what you don't see. This is perhaps the most important distinction in the book, the difference between being rich and being wealthy. Rich is the current income. It's easy to spot. It's the expensive watch, the designer clothes, and the luxury SUV. Wealth, however, is invisible. Wealth is the income that is not spent. It's the stock options that haven't been exercised. It's the money in the bank that gives you the freedom to walk away from a bad situation. We are social creatures and we learn by imitation. But it's hard to imitate wealth because it's hidden. It's easy to imitate rich because it's on display. To build wealth, you have to suppress your ego and realize that every dollar you spend to show people how much money you have is a dollar you no longer have. Chapter 10. Save money. Housel argues that you don't need a specific reason to save. You don't have to be saving for a house or a car. You can just save for the sake of saving. Savings is the gap between your ego and your income. You can build wealth without a high income, but you can never build wealth without a high savings rate. Saving gives you optionality. In a world that is increasingly volatile and unpredictable, having cash on hand is like having a global hedge against life's surprises. It gives you the ability to pivot when the world changes. Chapter 11. Reasonable, greater than rational. Many financial experts tell you to be cold and rational. They want you to look at a spreadsheet and make the mathematically perfect choice. But Housel says you should aim to be reasonable instead. A rational person might tell you to never pay off your mortgage because your interest rate is lower than the stock market's average return. But a reasonable person pays it off anyway because the peace of mind of owning their home outright makes them feel secure. If a strategy is mathematically perfect but keeps you awake at night with anxiety, you won't stick to it. And the most important part of any financial plan is sticking to it. Aim for a plan that is good enough but allows you to sleep like a baby. Conclusion. To wrap up, the psychology of money reminds us that the world is more uncertain than we think, and we are less in control than we'd like. But if you can master your own behavior, if you can stay humble, prioritize your time over your ego, and give compounding the years it needs to work, you will find financial peace. Stop trying to win the game by being the smartest person in the room. Start winning by being the most patient, the most disciplined, and the most reasonable.